I'm Alina Beatty.
I'm Kristen Chang.
Welcome to E Squared, Estoque on Screen. In this episode, athletes reflect on how racial stereotypes affect them.
Next, a Christian and Muslim student switch places for a day and find similarities in their faiths.
Then, we'll take a look at how much students know about California's laws.
After that, we'll explore the misuse of the word depression.
We'll close out with a story of one sophomore's family tradition of going all out for Halloween decorations.
Many of us are preparing to leave Monte Vista, but the new worlds we enter can often give us more adversity than opportunity. That's a worry for many MVHS athletes, who feel that their race may play a negative role in sports after high school.
At Monte Vista, the most commonly known fact might just be that we're 80% Asian and we're heavy on academics. That's just how we're perceived. And as Monte Vista athletes search for success in their sports, they find that another perception gets in their way of a possible reality. These athletes have faced and anticipate various challenges due to racial stereotypes they see in their sports. Senior Vasu Gupta discusses the stereotypes he has seen throughout his journey through basketball.
Like football, basketball, it's usually they always associate it with African American people. Like, where you don't really take a lot of other races necessarily seriously. I mean, it's present everywhere you go. Like when I travel with my club team for tournaments, I understand why people say it. Like, I'm usually the only Indian person in this whole arena. This is an arena full of like 3,000, 4,000 people, all African Americans, all races. But it's funny, I was like one of 2 Indian people at this whole venue.
Racial profiling is kind of a big thing in this school. My experience in basketball is just that we play another team, if there's a black guy on the other team, it's like, oh, he must be really good.
Once when the boys' basketball team faced Wilcox High School, a member of the opposing team asked if Mani Maran and senior Abhinav Balaji were brothers just because they had the same skin color.
As a joke, Abhinav said, yeah. And he says, like, yeah, you guys look alike. Same with the rest of your team. You guys all look alike.
Junior Mihir Thakkar believes that players just go off the stereotypes that they see or read about on the internet.
I mean, not really anything degrading. I just get called Indian in a negative connotation, at least against Alameda my sophomore year. And they would just use that like repeatedly when we were playing them, just trying to degrade us, but it didn't really get to my head, at least. I don't think anyone on our team really got negatively affected.
While these athletes face challenges in being a minority in their sport, badminton player Rachel Hune discusses why MVHS badminton is predominantly Asian.
And usually a lot of the people in badminton, we played beforehand, like from my parents or like classes. And that's why we just all grew up with the sport. Like our parents were more like, you want to try badminton or like you want to try tennis? Instead of like, our parents don't really say like, do you want to try football or do you want to try baseball? If someone's out of the stereotype in the sport, it's just no one really cares about it.
Despite the perception of Indians in sports like football and basketball, these athletes find a way to use it to their advantage.
People don't really expect a lot out of me, and then we can show them on the field how athletic we actually are. So I like being at the underdog point of view.
They know that the racial challenges that they face now will increase even more if they decide to play sports at the next level. This is because there are significantly less Asians and Indians playing college sports.
It's not burden, but I'd say like it definitely puts me at a disadvantage. I know when people see me, they don't take me seriously because you're Indian or Asian. It's like no matter how much we deny it or we say something, oh no, it's everyone's giving you equal chance, they don't take you seriously until you can show that you're worth taking seriously.
In agreement with his players, head coach Clay Stiver has witnessed racial discrimination against his players and anticipates challenges for those who want to pursue basketball after high school.
Like I think in high school and kind of in our area, looking at the major sports-wise, not a lot of kids get recruited, right, for like football, baseball, basketball. Not heavily, like for like D1 or something like that. So I could see how maybe this is part of it, is, you know, if you are a pretty good player in this area, like if you're a pretty good basketball player, but you are, look at Jeremy Lin, if you're of Indian or Asian descent, versus maybe if you were African American or white, are those opportunities going to be different for you post high school? And I think they might be. I think there's something to it. I think Jeremy Lin talks about it often. I think he's right.
You just learn to brush it off at one point. It's like you hear it so many times, you're just like, you just become sort of immune to it. And it's just like, you try to, I guess in a way, just try to use it as like a motivation to try to get better and prove people wrong. If you think about it, you're really going to regret like, hey, what if I did just try to chase my dreams? Because technically you're not living your dream, then you're living your parents' dream if you do that. So, okay, worst case scenario, you'll fail. But let's not forget, you have things to be, that's why you always have a backup. It's not like just, focus on something. Always have something, like, to have a backup. So, but still, it's worth trying to chase a dream. As for setbacks and everything, that's just the part of it. And you just gotta learn to, like, just keep working, and get better at it every day.
Race isn't the only thing that can be divisive. Our reporters explore how faith can be both a barrier and a unifier.
I'm Nilufar Raja and I'm a junior. So I'm Muslim and my family and I are moderate.
I'll be visiting the Home of Christ Church in Cupertino to learn more about the Christian faith.
I'm Joseph Kuo. I'm a junior at Monte Vista High. I've been practicing Christianity since I was born. I've been going to church since I was 3. Today I will be going to a mosque to experience the Muslim faith.
So at the beginning everyone was kind of hanging out and chilling. We were playing instruments and just talking with each other. They were actually very welcoming. I mean, I did look a bit out of place, but people there were very homey and welcoming. And I really enjoyed that part because it felt like the mosque I go to with the same hominess and the friendship and the close companionship people have with each other.
Okay, guys, hey, we're going to be starting now. Come out of sadness wherever you've been. Come broken-hearted, let rescue begin. Come find your mercy, sit and be still. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal.
Anybody here for the first time? I know Timothy, you're new, so you gotta stand up.
And then when the pastor started his sermon, he asked all newcomers to stand up and say hi, so I did that too.
Go ahead and share. You introduced yourself already, but I kind of forget really fast.
Hi, my name's Nilufar. I'm a junior and I go to Monte Vista High School.
Anybody go to Monte Vista?
Yeah!
Anybody's going to Monte Vista?
Yeah! Later on, the preacher gave a little sermon and told us about the different social groups of girls and boys and how we can use those social groups to benefit us, and it was really interesting. I really liked it.
So what with what you say? Talk again is cheap. What you do actually matters. And the way that we've treated people and the way that we've treated our relationships from where people are at speaks more to your testimony of your character than what you say and what you know. Live in right conduct.
And they all were preaching peace and family and connectivity with others and tolerance, and that was very similar to what we learned in mosque as well.
But I pray, God, that as ambassadors for Christ, you would send us out into the community, loving on those that we know need you. Help us, Lord.
Because I don't have much knowledge about Muslim culture, I don't really have much of an opinion about it. I've never been exposed to it, so I don't think I can make a judgment before being exposed to it. I'd like to see just Muslim beliefs. I'd like to learn what they believe and how it differs from Christianity.
And then once we went in, there was an older person, like an adult, speaking. And then inside, I think there were like 3 kids, 2 girls, sophomores I think, and then one guy who was in community college. One thing he talked about was like apologetics, which is basically like defending the faith, like logically. And a couple of things he raised were equally applicable in Christianity. The notion that there's a creator, and he used an iPhone to explain it. And it was like a very interesting analogy. I hadn't thought of something like that before.
Is an iPhone just like this is just a piece, right? This chair doesn't walk. It doesn't function. It's just there. But even though it's just there, we believe that it has a maker. We know it has a maker, right? But what's the difference? Is this just a piece of equipment that you put like this?
If we look at an iPhone, we can clearly say that it has a maker because it is made with it is super intricate, and yet it is made with a purpose. And then it is clear that nature could not have simply made an iPhone by accident. And that would equally be applicable to something even more complicated as, like, say, a human. I remember I was like, wow, that's like very logical, and I've never thought about it that way.
I took away that all religions are actually very, they're more connected than they apparently seem. And we see a lot of problems arising because of religion, but really those problems shouldn't exist because all those religions preach peace and tolerance of other people. And if you practice religion correctly, in the sense that you don't use your religion to hurt other people, then everyone ends up living in a happier society.
Learning experiences happen every day. Just as we go to class daily to learn about the world, part of being a student is familiarizing ourselves with the law. But how much do we know about California law?
So you'd think that 53 volumes of laws would be enough to keep a state running. After all, we have regulations banning child labor and environmental standards and health care, and that's just 53 volumes of Californian laws. No one can even count the amount of federal laws. So how many more laws do we really need? Apparently a lot. Just last year, 800 new laws were added to California. In fact, if you just listen to the news, you'd think that our government never gets anything done. There's constantly protests for more laws. Gun control, mass incarceration, Planned Parenthood, drones, rights for women. Even with our 53 volumes of laws, America wants more. But how many of those laws do we actually know? Should we ask for more when we don't know what we have? So here's a little test. How well do you know your laws? We went around asking MV students about 5 laws which are either new, existing, or vetoed. Here's their responses. Number 1. You have the right as a student to not answer a teacher's question.
Whoa.
I don't think that's a thing.
Can it be a thing? I'm kidding.
Students have no rights, that's what I heard.
So,
what?
Wait, you're... I don't think that exists.
New?
Yes, it's past. As a student, you're supposed to do what the teacher asks you to do.
Because it seems like, especially within the last couple years, there are more rights that are going out for minors.
Because everyone has freedom of speech, and so they're able to speak when they want and when they don't.
I mean, you want your grade to be dropped?
Maybe you have the right, but
you probably have the right, but
you'll get penalized.
You don't want to. Yeah, you shouldn't, you know?
Number 2. The CASI is no longer required for high school graduation.
That's recently passed. Existing. I think I read it the other day. I read about something, I don't know.
Number 3. You cannot be forced to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
That's existing.
That's like, isn't that like unconstitutional? Like forcing someone to say, I know, I guess it's good for the United States, like pledging allegiance, but like forcing someone, I don't know, yeah.
Because I think I remember something like that even when I was growing up, that it's an optional thing.
Yeah, it's existing.
Number 4. Math placement for 9th graders will be based on test scores or grades.
I don't think that's a law.
This is vetoed.
And like there wasn't any real determination like, oh yeah, your test scores are this, so you have to do this. No, it was more of a choice.
I thought it was based on like teacher recommendations.
Yeah, and if you take a course over the summer to skip it, or there's already a test back in 5th grade, you take one going into 6th grade. You have to get put into 6th grade math or 6th, 7th, and then from there you're like in advance. So I don't think there's another one tonight.
So I don't think that's a law.
Number 5. In California, it's illegal for animals to mate within 1,500 feet of school or a place of worship.
I don't know, I guess like vetoed, although I'm sure it's probably a law.
Well, I think it sounds absolutely preposterous.
I don't think that's a law.
No, I don't think it exists.
It's so specific that I don't know why that would be an issue, but I guess from a religious standpoint, maybe.
We don't. Existing.
Okay, why?
I'm just guessing. You can't really control animals.
I mean, unless you are creating some kind of technology, like, I don't know. What kind of law is that?
That one is actually existing.
Oh my god. It's actually an existing law.
Okay.
It's an existing law. Oh my gosh. It's actually existing.
The law guarantees freedom of speech, but just because something is legal to say doesn't always mean that it's right. We examine the usage of the word depression in our next segment.
Ugh, I failed my quiz. I'm so depressed.
Whoa, man, that's not cool. Depression is a serious issue.
Well, what is it?
The Mayo Clinic defines depression as a mood disorder that causes a persistent feeling of sadness and loss of interest. It affects how you feel, think, and behave, and can lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems. So just because you're upset you failed your quiz doesn't mean you're depressed. Depression is not being temporarily sad, easy to define, or the same for everyone.
So, I can't say I'm depressed?
Well, you could say that if you were depressed, but by using that word when you're just a little bummed isn't cool.
Why?
Well, many people are actually depressed, and comparing what you're feeling to what they're going through demeans and devalues their struggles. If everyone says they're depressed when they feel sad, people who are actually depressed might not get the attention that they need. Depression can affect anybody at any time, even people who seem like they have everything. It's long-term sadness and hopelessness, not just occasional feelings of sadness. People with depression usually feel down and hopeless for most of their day, often many weeks at a time. They no longer receive pleasure from things that once made them happy, and find it difficult to experience happiness. People with depression can have suicidal thoughts. That's why it's important that we treat it as a serious mental illness. At Monte Vista, it's common to see students like yourself claim to be depressed, even when that's not the case. Monte Vista is a rigorous and competitive academic environment, and sometimes that can get to students. Stress and disappointment at not achieving certain grades are very real issues. They just don't always mean that you're depressed. Claiming that you're depressed when you're in fact actually just under a lot of pressure as a result of a very stressful school atmosphere is like claiming you're dying of starvation when, in reality, you just forgot to pack your usual mid-morning snack. It's not just a stretch. It's a factual error, and it devalues other people's experiences.
Well, I still don't get it.
You ever hear about the boy who cried wolf, Colin? If you keep exaggerating your symptoms, no one is going to believe others who might actually be experiencing them. Eventually, depression would become a common phrase used to describe a common feeling rather than what it actually is. And those who are actually victims of this very serious illness will be placed into the same category as anyone who has ever failed a test.
But what if I'm really bummed out about my test?
Don't. Just don't.
For our final segment, we explore one family's creative take on Halloween decorating. When we think of decorations, we often conjure up images of skeletons and gore. But this junior's home is a fun, kid-friendly environment that redefines Halloween spirit.
Walking down the street in broad daylight, Sycamore Drive looks like a regular block about halfway through October, with a few early decorations, but nothing overly eye-popping. That is, until you get about halfway down the street. This is the house of Anthony Main.
We've been decorating our house as long as I've been married, about 19 years. And as a kid, growing up, we always decorated for Halloween. Halloween's been a tradition in our family and in our country, and so anyway, it's something we really look forward to.
We've probably been doing this all my life.
My son's costumes are my favorite decorations. the costumes from the the time he was 2 years old through, I don't know, many years he enjoyed costumes. So it's fun to just bring those out year after year.
Yeah, there's a robot costume out front that when I was in preschool, someone invited me to a robot party. So I've just had that for like 10 years, so we just put that out front.
My husband really enjoys doing the science experiments, so he likes to dress up as Albert Einstein, and that's his Halloween costume every year, and then he performs, so it's fun. And so everybody comes to the garage, and there's this huge, a big crowd of kids in the garage watching the experiments and participating.
They usually like it. They like it a lot because it's pretty kid-friendly.
We get lots of compliments on the decorations outside, and there are other families that decorate as well. Some have a scarier sort of theme, but ours is kid-friendly and it's easy to walk up to the front door.